Hey everyone, this is Andrew Kissin, Director of Marketing with Zahn Dental. We're here with Chris Saurman, CEO of New England Orthodontics Lab. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Chris, you are the CEO of your lab on the East Coast. You know, second generation. You've seen the transition from analog to digital really firsthand. Can you give everyone a little background of maybe how your father started the business and how you've seen it kind of transition from this analog, small business to what you are today?
Sure, yeah. My father started this company in 1976, and obviously as an analog company back then. We'll fast forward right to when I came on board, which was early 2001 when I started full time in the lab, and it was analog. It was a completely analog business. It was a regional business. We started as a local laboratory and grew in the New England area, and then kept growing outside of the New England area, and then had to move labs. And kind of fast forwarding to where digital really came into play here was um, in early 2011 is when we started toying around with a digital platform. And our first 3D printer was bought in early 2012. And that really helped us excel to become a national laboratory now, servicing over 3,500 accounts across the country. Back when it was a analog business, it was doctors would call or they'd show up at a convention and they'd ask, the first question they asked is, "Where are you located?" Um, and now the question that we are asked when offices call is, "Can you do this?" Um, so it's really changed the way our business was structured, and marrying a tangible business to a digital business was the hardest part of going digital. Was in having every lab has cases coming in through either a courier service or a mail service, and it's a physical impression or a model that is easily tracked because it's physical. When it's digital, it's not so easily tracked, and that has been the hardest part of going digital, was marrying the non-tangible aspect of the business, and how do you control that, and how do you manage things that you can't see.
So NeoLab entered printing in, you said, I think 2011. You're about 10 years from that point. Where has your lab, which specializes in ortho work, which is unique, just sticking to one thing that you do great, how has digital, how have where you started from to where you are now kind of changed your business process?
Well, it's completely changed our business process now. I just Probably 95% of our work is coming in digitally at this point.
Uh,
So although we still have tangible models that come in every day, we are out of the quote unquote stone age, and we're doing digital. It's a lot easier to we've built an online platform system here that not only is doctor facing but also is something that runs our entire laboratory. So it's changed our world in such a way that we're able to analyze the workflow well before the work actually hits the floor. And that's been the biggest change in our business, is where we had models that came in the door, we never knew from one day to the next how many models would show up. And now with our digital platform and our software, we're able to see exactly how many models are in the system since the second they hit submit online. So that's been great. And again, 95% of our work is digital. So our complete production line revolves around the digital workflow at this point.
and roughly, unless you know, of course, the exact number, how many printers do you have? What does your workflow or your digital production workflow look like today?
I have 16 printers that are in full production right now. And we're producing anywhere between 500 and 600 models per day. Um, so it's it is, again, it's our whole workflow is digital model production.
So, going from 2011 when you kind of dip your toe in the water to 16 full-time printers today, what's the thought process or the business process of figuring out the ROI or okay, you know what, it's time to add to the workflow? How does that, as the CEO and, the owner or co-owner of an operation the size that you are, what's that process look like?
Well, it really depends. So, it depends on the products that you're trying to produce with these printers. And today, although I have 16 printers in production, I only have 3 different companies that I work with: Stratasys, Carbon, and Haygears. And um, I utilize each one of their printing techniques in a different way based on the products that are on the floor. So how do we grow with the printers? It depends. If a product line is growing, or we're adding a product line in that marries up well to a Carbon workflow or a Stratasys workflow, it's very easy to determine what our capacity is on our machines and say what is the anticipated uh, increase in production that would be derived from let's say a new product or a marketing strategy that we're putting in place. So even though we are a nationally recognized lab and that we do a ton of social media marketing, I think that we've undermarketed some of our products. So it's, when we're looking at marketing products, we have to think about what are the implications of getting a bunch more customers, and how is that going to affect our product workflow on the floor. And that directly affects our 3D print room, okay, and our digital prep team. So you're asking, like, what do I do in terms of buying printers or adding team members on the software side? It is really derived on watching my system and watching the cases that are coming in and the trends within the industry to then be ahead of the curve or this wave of work that is potentially going to show up. And then applying that to the certain production workflow, which is which printer we use and what software we use to manipulate the files and that sort of thing.
It's interesting because most full service or labs that we talk to that have gone digital are really figuring out how to use CAD CAM to either start offering new services or get into different indications that they're not currently offering. Whereas you that specializes in ortho, you're just using digital to do what you've always done, just at a larger capacity.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. You're just taking what you know and just pounding it and doing it that much better for dental practices across the US, besides maybe expanding into dentures, fixed, and different types of indications.
Yep. Yep. So we are strictly ortho here, like you said. From a dental application, maybe it is a little bit more difficult to use a 3D printer or to figure out how to implement 3D print strategy into the workflow. For us, we're doing major model production at this point, and you know, uh, with splints and that sort of thing, and using the Keysoft resin and being able to directly print the splints. Besides that, it's model production.
So, as an ortho lab, what and typically when we ask this question, we hear new indications like dentures is what labs are looking forward to in terms of digital production, but you're not really interested in that game right now. What's most exciting to you of what might be coming now that the CAD CAM, the digital revolution, is really just continuing to evolve? As the CEO of an ortho only lab, what's the next? This is going to take us from an A player to an A plus plus player.
We've been working on what we call here 3D metal printing. Okay, so what we do is we design our framework in CAD and then we metal print the framework. And it just is a drop-in fit for the orthodontist. We use a lot of banding here, so we band the molars. What we'll do is we will produce these molar bands in a CAD environment and then export out to a 3D printer And if we can save the office time with better strategies and products, that's what we're going to do.
Great. Chris, really appreciate your time. Look forward to seeing what comes out of you and NEOLab in the future. And thanks for sitting down with us.
Thank you for having me.